two of the preeminent black civil rights leaders of the 20th century, Audre Lorde and James Baldwin. Also, importantly, of course, two of the preeminent queer civil rights leaders of the 20th century as well. And this is where the crucial concept of intersectionality will come into play. What we mean by intersectionality, a term that was invented by 20th century feminist scholars, I'll say, but remains super important today in contemporary discourse, is the layering, the way that all of our identities overlap in different ways. So I'm queer, but I'm white, but I'm male, and I live in California, and I'm a college professor, but I'm also a former musician, and this kind of stuff. Essential in the discussion of these two authors in particular, even right now today. And here's a good example. Just about a year or 2 years ago, a new documentary came out about James Baldwin. You may want to get it on Netflix. Fantastic job on James Baldwin as a civil rights leader in the African American community. Amazing original footage, and all of the charisma and the eloquence of James Baldwin comes through. And I love the film, except for one thing, which is that they soft-pedaled and barely mentioned the fact that Baldwin was also gay, and that he never hid that fact in all of his life. In fact, he was one of the first 20th century American authors to write a completely out novel about a gay character. It could be in this syllabus or any other LGBTQ lit syllabus. The novel's called Giovanni's Room, came out in the 1950s, and it was radical in its portrayal of a gay relationship. And by the way, he chose not to make the character an African-American gay man, which is also fascinating. But how a film made in 2016, which wins an Academy Award, could possibly leave that out? I have no idea. And as you can see, it makes me a little angry. Now, this leads to the topic of anger, which is not something that I deal with very well. But if you want to see two people who can channel their anger with eloquence and force and power and endless energy into actual social change, you'll never find two better authors than Audre Lorde and James Baldwin, both of whom spent their lives angry. But it's an anger that burns with a passion that moves them forward, that drives their writing, and which changed the world. So as you're learning about intersectionality, which is the topic of the test at the end of the week, by the way, and we do have a reading about it, I want you to keep in mind another article that we'll be reading by Audre Lorde, a famous essay that she wrote, which says that there is no hierarchy of oppressions. And I want you to think hard this week, not just about the greatness and the eloquence and the power and the vision of these two preeminent civil rights leaders, but also about the way in which both of them recognized that all of their identity mattered, that neither of them ever hid from who they are, what they are, who they wanted to be. And they teach us that lesson over and over again. Even now, decades later from the grave, we still need to learn these lessons. And when you see people discuss them, I want you to bring this up also. Because to me it is the essence, and to them it was the essence, of everything that they had to teach.